Hey everybody, Taz from Critical Thinking Anarchist here, and so we're going to be doing Isom 1 Part 2. I didn't realize how close I was to the end when I ended the last part. I probably should have just kept going because it would have been like extra, I don't know, 5, maybe 10 minutes. But anyway, so we're going to jump right into it. So when last we left off, Avery, Isom, was leaving his sister's house. And now we're on the next page. We're in Darren's office. And Darren's sitting behind the desk. Excuse me. Even to your job. You know, the word empire is used very loosely. All people know is to associate it with wealth and power. But what exactly is it? At what point does an enterprise become an empire? He drinks a glass, smashes it. An empire is a state of existence. That's because it isn't about mere wealth and power. It's about control and respect. It never stops being built. But you know when it begins to crumble. Floor Spark is massive. I'd like to think I'm the top dog. But I'm not the only dog. There are little enterprises around this city that wait for us to make mistakes. But they know to do just that. Wait. Sure, every so often there's a baby gangster that'll do something stupid to get his head blown off. But it's been a while since someone actually had the guts to directly test us. This club is seen as untouchable, so this is not trivial. He's doing all of this for abroad, which is exactly why this cannot be dealt with delicately. This world galvanizes our enemies, so we're going to address this. It'll be a message for all my... It'll be a message for all my... History with them gives us an advantage. I'm sending a memo in the morning with the details of this man and what I expect from you. You'll immediately realize one thing. Certain things ain't off limits. The next morning, we're in, I believe that says Taylorsville? And Avery's coming out of his truck, man smoking in a suit. A story for another day. Sir, we don't technically open for another 2 hours. You'll have to... Wait. I believe I do remember you. Isom, wasn't it? Just call me Avery. And really, you have a memory on you. So the memory is the asterisk, and that's where the A Story for Another Day is. So this is letting you know that this is going to be told in a future book here. Not exactly. You're just the only person that has ever returned something to me. You don't forget things like that. That's actually the reason I dropped by. You wouldn't happen to have kept that old thing, would you? Follow me. Much has changed since you were last here. I have a lot of stories that you probably won't believe. I've gotten in 3 or 4 different fights, checked in and out of a hospital, bought the clothes that I'm wearing at my last stop, and it hasn't even been 24 hours yet. Try me. Okay, so for your first story, can you tell me what the hell happened here? Again, much has changed. As you can tell, we've done a few renovations to this building. No longer serves as a store. This acts as a base of operations of sort. Must be going down because I didn't see much of a second floor. That was the second floor. Avery, I moved on from the occasional uniform designs, and once my contract with the SSWL expired, things really started to change. Again, another asterisk, Southern Style Wrestling League. I've met my share of incredible people, but those that are special were truly an untapped market. Once word got around, people asked me to either create or alter their garments. You were one of the first. Certain commissions just weren't worthwhile anymore. Well, you've certainly upgraded, that's for sure. This explains why I thought I was at the wrong place. I can tell this isn't just some rinky-dink costume shop. Some of my customers aren't even from here, therefore their compensation can be a little unorthodox, but that makes it even more valuable. Have you heard of rubinon or silicus? Such fascinating materials that aren't exactly in abundance on this planet. As they walk out of the elevator at this point. So they got in the elevator, went down, got out of the elevator, and now they're in kind of a underground shopping warehouse. This is unbelievable. Boy, here. You don't get scared of someone coming along to destroy it all. You think this is my only building? You underestimate the magnitude of this operation. Don't look at this through the scope of the local designer you once knew. My commissions bring a clientele that would raise the under-earth if someone even thought about laying a finger on me. But I'm prepared. In the event of a poorly advised attempt, as an example, you're only on this floor because I'll allow you to be. And if you felt rather bold enough to commit a mistake, you wouldn't make it back to the elevator. Easy. You asked. Let's talk about why you came. To answer your question, yes, your suit is here. Seems like you want it back. When you returned it, you seemed so very sure. I offered to make any adjustments needed, and you were decisive. If I offended you, my apologies. Returning it was more of a symbolic thing to ensure I was done with this. But something came up, and though I'd like to avoid it, I may need it again. Well, you can't have it back. What? Not at least in this state. Every single design has my touch on it, so when you wear it, you're representing me, especially when it's your type. This is such an outdated design that I'm almost embarrassed by it. Let me ask you this. What is the most important thing you'd like this suit to accomplish? Absorb fall damage? When I asked you that before, you didn't even have an answer. Seems that we've both grown. I take it you want something for your hands and head now? No, I just need it as lightweight as it was. There are several options in that department. Very well. Let's make sure the measurements are still the same. You look a bit more defined. Try it on, we'll make the adjustments from there. Avery grabs the briefcase with the suit, heads into a cylinder of some sort, comes out in his now classic Isom design, the black and orange eye suit. Comes out smiling, still fits. Then, of course, we've got Eric's comic book self on there. We aren't done quite yet with taxation and theft on the hat. So then we've got on a stage somewhere near Florida. A guy singing. I'm not even going to try because I don't know the melody. The lyrics are, "The angels have fallen, my allies are beaten and broken down. I shed not a tear, after all this is why we are here. A war we are not supposed to win, so if I'm to die tonight," and he hands the mic to the crowd, "I'll kill every demon that stands in my side." And he goes, "Go!" Crowd moshes a bit. Then he says, "Thank you." And as the crowd's leaving, that was the first time seeing them live, and holy crap! I knew they were big, but both vocalists are absolutely shredded. And their eyes, it's like they're glowing, almost godlike. Never seen anything like that. He's playing lead while he's screaming? I thought it was backtracked. Then another splash page, Rippaverse. We will win. And then back to the band. Lead singer, great show, I say. We're gonna catch some fresh air and we'll help you tear down. It seemed your instincts were correct. I now sense them. This side of the earth has always had abnormal occurrences. But I fear this is a threat that only we can truly comprehend. They were never the types to operate with such stealth. Their return alone is worrisome, but the behavioral change is perhaps the most daunting. We may need to cancel this tour and get to the bottom of this. It is no longer the time for play. The second guy, I believe the guitarist, flies up into the air, does kind of a meditation pose and green flame around him. He goes, I disagree. Remember why we do this. Besides, there isn't much that we can do until they make a move. We just need to stay alert. We cannot risk calling the cavalry quite yet. Lead singer again. I would not suggest such a thing as it would send this realm into chaos. I do suppose if they are here, this run will assist us in nailing down their exact whereabouts. It has been a very long time since we've had a reason to get involved in the affairs of Earth. If it is time, they will soon find out. Our lyrics are not make-believe, and lead singer has his bow. The guitarist is doing kind of again, another flame near his chest. And then Norfrika, as the entire band is on another splash page. Another splash page. Next on Isom number 2, Ill-Advised Part 2. And it's got Darren in front of Club Merc pointing a gun. And then a person looking up Avery Silman, sibling Eltona, parents Jacob and Harriet Silman. So this is the message, the memo that was sent out. I want you to find this man and handle him. Pay his family a visit if necessary. Just send my regards. Their work and home addresses have been sent to your phones. Whoever gets this job done will be paid handsomely. We'll be in touch. Another version of Eric July, Rippaverse.com. Respect the source material. The Rippaverse ethic. This comic book company was not created at random. I have been rooted in the culture of American comic books since I was a youngster, and being a creative in the industry was always a dream of mine. But the unfortunate state of the industry gave me the push that I needed to give it a shot at such a young age. We've seen what works, and we've certainly seen what not to do. Rippaverse Comics is the product of a comic book guy that still believes the magic of the culture. With that being said, we are guided by a set of principles that remain the staple of this company. 1. Respect the customer. We want you invested in this brand and everything that comes from it. Rippaverse Comics is not entitled to your money, and we must earn your support. It's on us as the creators to produce something that you find of value and can remain invested in. It's impossible to please everybody, but we hope there's a book or character that you look forward to keeping up with. The success of this company will be largely dictated by our ability to keep the customers interested and satisfied. We are not oblivious to this. Respect goes both ways, and we will honor our side of the deal. Canon and continuity. Our aspirations extend far beyond having a couple of characters or series. A vast universe that is ever expanding is what we hope to accomplish. This is something that has long been intriguing about modern American comic books, but it has become a lost art. The Rippaverse will fill this void. This means that every single book you buy will always matter. If retcons are to exist, they will only be used in the classic sense of introducing new information. We want every book that you buy to always matter. Those stories happened. There will be no lazy time travel to change histories or events. There will be no cheap multiverses that have altered versions of the same character. If you own a book, you own a part of the history, and it's our mission to keep it this way. This concept will remain true regardless of the medium. Should the characters appear in officialized animation or live action, the depictions need to be as accurate to the characters as realistically possible. Your favorite characters will always be recognizable. A comprehensive timeline. Because we value canon and continuity, it's important that you're able to follow the timeline as these characters grow. This will especially be helpful for those of you that become customers years after our founding. We promise to try to keep reboots to a minimum. If this means that a series is on its 100th issue or volume, so be it. But this isn't a reason to feel overwhelmed. There will be, here's one of those little typos, there will be plenty of opportunities to purchase anthologies that combine key stories, but we also don't want to hold your hand, as picking up the pieces is often part of the fun. Not every story will be told in chronological order, so we'll always make it as easy as possible to keep up as the universe grows. On the next page, we hope that you enjoyed Isom number 1. Please give us your feedback wherever possible. If you are a creator, don't hesitate to let the world know how you felt about the book. We want to see those videos and hear those podcasts. Don't forget Dokuman cards. Who is Dokuman and what's on the cards? A mysterious person by the name of Dokuman has been keeping up with the notable subjects. They have cards with some important information about high-profile subjects. The cards won't be around forever, so get them while you can if you want to learn more about some characters in the Rippaverse. The official concept art artist book, released along Isom #1, was a book with the original concept art of prominent characters. In it, you'll see the original designs by Marcos Rios and a breakdown of how they were created by Eric July. And then on the second to last splash page, Yaira will return soon enough. That'll be soon here. And then last, Backwards will be back. So Eric July's actual band, Backwards, backwardsmusic.com. That's with a Z, Backwards. And then, of course, on the back of the comic, another splash page with another great art design for Avery in his Isom uniform there. So that is the book as it stands right now. That's the first book. Next week I'll start reading Isom #2 and post that here. Probably break it down into 2 parts again. I'll try to do a little bit better of keeping the readings even. And then do kind of the same thing with Alpha Core. And then I've got a couple other books that I'm going to be picking up here. But anyway, so what do I think of Isom #1? Now, again, I'm not a comic book person. This is my literal first, I'm going to jump into this comic, especially from the ground, especially on floor 1. I liked it. I like the art. I think the art is great. I think the direction is great. It does a lot of heavy lifting. So if you are the type of person that just wants action and, little bits of story, but not a lot of introduce this. And again, you have to go into Isom understanding that this is the first of the universe. This is the first book. Could Eric have done a little less introduction? Absolutely. And part of it is, just coming up with characters, putting them in there and not realizing, or not knowing, rather, not necessarily not realizing, but not knowing who was going to do what, who was going to buy what the fans were going to be interested in. So a lot of it is that, he knew he was going to do Alpha Core. He knew he was going to do Yaira. Norfolka will be something at some point. We don't know how big bad they're going to be. And I don't know how many other books he knew he was going to plan right away. But of course, he had to, he wanted to throw it all out there and see, is there even enough interest to go beyond Isom? Thankfully, there is. Again, if you're not into heavy world building, Alpha Core is probably going to be more your speed. And we'll get into that one in a couple weeks. That one's by Chuck Dixon. I mean, obviously Eric created the characters, but as he stated in his videos, Chuck wrote the story. Chuck wrote a story that Eric couldn't write. And that's not an insult to Eric. It's just, Chuck does what Chuck does. Yeah, Chuck's been in the industry a very long time. He understands how to do this type of thing. And he understands that, you don't necessarily need to do a big world building, but they're not part of the main storyline in their own book. I mean, stories that they have will influence other stories. Everything is going to be kind of a big universe, but I mean, it's kind of like, in real life, what I do in my own house and what my sister does in her own house, we have our own stories going on here. So they don't need to, I don't need to know everything that's going on in her house. She doesn't need to know everything that's going on in my house. Anybody who's hearing stories from us, it's going to be, well, mine is mine, hers is hers, whatever. So it's kind of like that. They can intermingle, but for the most part, they're not going to affect each other too much as far as that goes. But I liked it. I really liked it. I thought it was a really good introduction. And again, as a normie kind of going into this, it's hard to judge. because I don't really have, years of comics with which to go by. I don't have all these established storylines. Mine came from cartoons. And so I like more in-depth storytelling because my world comes from, the world of entertainment. So for me, this is like an 8-9, right around there. And the biggest thing that it does is it leaves you wanting more. And that's, the old adage, always leave them wanting more. This story leaves me wanting more. Leaves me wanting to know more about Isom, more about Florispark, more about Yaira, and more about Alpha Core, more about Darren even. And one of the best things is Darren is a villain. He is a big bad. I don't expect it from Eric, but we don't get this backstory of how he was abused as a kid and how he's a tragic hero or tragic villain or whatever else. Like, he's just a villain. He is a big bad. He understands his place in the universe as a big bad. And, he understands, one of the kind of the cooler things is he understands that there is the world of accepts. He's not an accept himself as far as we know. That could always change. That could always be something that is hidden in there in the future storytelling. But he is for all intents and purposes right now, he is a normie who has grown to great wealth and power. And he's a villain, which is awesome. So he is kind of a Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor was just very smart. He didn't have anything else. He was just very, very, very smart. And he uses intelligence to get him riches and power and et cetera, and influence. So that's Darren. He's smart. He's charming. He's rich. But again, if you're not into big world building, this probably might not be your cup of tea, your comic book to start with. If you like more the action style, Alpha Core is of the books that are already out as I'm recording this. Alpha Core is going to be a good one. Yaira, of course, has had excitement from day one since people heard about her. And I'm really looking forward to that one. That's the next one coming out, and believe me, I'll be ordering those books day one. But that is it for now. My favorite part of this particular book. I liked the whole first interaction with Darren. Where Avery goes up to him. He's like, I've got my attitude, and I'm not going to take this. And he gets his butt kicked by the first guy. He slams into Yaira, gets his butt kicked by her. I thought that was all great because, again, it shows he's, Avery as Isom, he's not a perfect character. He has these abilities. He has good control over these abilities. He still doesn't know everything. He still has to read the room. He still has to read his enemies. He still has to assess. He's going to fail. And he's going to go back and he's going to try again. And sometimes he's going to win and sometimes he's going to lose. And that's, the fact that he loses is good. The fact that he loses multiple times or has the potential to lose multiple times, that's also good. You learn more from, as that saying goes, you learn more from failure than by success. If you're always winning, what's the point? What's the point of telling a story? Oh man, you got this perfect person. Always wins. Always comes in to save the day. Now we've kind of been trained for that in our older stories, but it's good to have a flawed hero. It's good to have a hero that can lose because that means there are stakes in every story. Yeah, maybe Avery comes out on top. But you know what? That doesn't mean that he gets the prize. It just might mean he just comes out on top. That might not mean he saves the day. So again, it puts weight on stories, which is awesome. But anyway, you guys let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Do you want me to do more? I might try and start, now that Eric has kind of started putting a lot more pages out there. I might see if I can do, I did technically kind of get permission in a conversation with him about posting the pages, but it's a little bit trickier than it seems. And again, with all the fluff up that's been going on out there recently, I didn't want to add to the fire. So I might do that in the future ones. But anytime, again, like the video if you liked it, share it, please. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it all. And I'll put links to the first one in this one, and then put links to this one in the first one. And we'll go from there. And you guys take care.